Hello again, everybody. Harry Boxer, the Technical Trader at techtrader.com. It's Saturday morning, June the 8th. This is the weekend webinar. Well, folks, I decided to focus on fewer stocks this weekend. I think it's time to get a universe of stocks we're more interested in. So let's just take a look at that. For starting today, the indices itself. Last week we had a breakout to new all-time highs in the S&P, but nominally so. Wasn't able to make much of our progress. You can see the all-time high at 53.75 reached Friday morning, and then we finished 53.46, actually off about 6 points or 0.1%. Not meaningful yet, but that next week we're going to watch to see if we platform out or pull back and test lower levels. Those support levels now 52.50 and 51.90 roughly. Longer term picture, obviously still bullish. The trend is your friend. The last week and a half has been quite enlightening as we bounced off to 50 on a reversal, engulfing reversal day 6 days ago, which reversed this whole move from the 51.91 area to the new high at 53.75, about 180 points, something like 3%. Anyway, let's move on. Take a look at the NDX as well. NASDAQ 100, which rocketed from a pullback of under 18.2 to over 19.1, 900 points. And again, a bit of an engulfing bearish day on Friday, but not major. If we still a trend, I'm looking for 19.6 in that area, give or take. And I think the key short-term support is right about 18.750 in that area. Key support down here, 18.2, 220 as moving average and price support there. If we get a 1-2, and this is wave 3 starting, and we've not even close to being extended, might look for 19.8 to even 20,000 is not out of the realm of possibilities this summer if the market doesn't break down. It's a big if, I'll give you that. How is the small caps faring and transportation? Well, you can see that small cap IWM index did not have a good week, reversed a week ago, has been down ever since. IWA has dropped from 207.5 to under 201. Key support right about 200. So we're in a support zone. We either bounce here or we're going to come down. And this one looks like a massive 7-month or 6-month head and shoulders. You see it? If we roll over on the small caps, it's not going to be good for the market, I think. We'll see. Also, transportation hasn't been great, but you can see the week ago it popped and then it reversed. Could not get through the moving averages. And now we have key double bottom support around 14.8. Break there. We're probably going to 14.450 to test a major trend line that goes back 2 years. Really want to see lateral price support hold in this zone here. So we're in the midst of a potential test of that area. Inconclusive as of right now. A look at the underlying technicals. The McClellan oscillator is minus 87 in that area. And you can see it's the lowest close we've seen in 2 weeks. The lowest level we got was minus 137, but that was an island reversal bottom before the pop. However, it popped and reversed back down. So now we're in a kind of negative neutral area, not too oversold, but at least minor support here. Percentage of stocks participating dropped down to about 40%. So less than half the stocks are participating in the rally. And that, one sec, you can see how it popped and pulled back, consolidating in the zone. Volatility, the VIX was at a multi-year low, 4-year low, when it reached 1132 2 weeks ago. It subsequently bounced to almost 15, now it's back to 1220. Any further drop down here is extreme apathy, and the market is not showing fear yet, which is a concern. Okay, look at the NASDAQ 100 components. Apple, which is looking pretty dire until mid or end of April when it broke out, wedged, at which point I said this looks like it's going higher. It did. Now at a resistance zone from back in here. with the Apple all-time high just under 200, 199.82. And that's post-split, of course. But we're not that far from there. So very bullish. Apple is still in play and pressing the market higher. What about Amazon? Not so much, but it did break out last week from a 3-week downtrend, almost 4-week downtrend, but did hold support and trend line and bounce. But looking back at it, is this a left shoulder ahead of the right shoulder? Well, we don't know yet. And this engulfing bar, island reversal bar is not included in that pattern, which it might be. So there's still a possibility that if we continue, we'll retest the high, which is around 190, 190, 170 to be exact. And then you have a target of 2078, something like that. Still a bullish pattern. Google had a negative reversal day on Friday, but right near the all-time highs. Google set a new all-time high 2 weeks ago, just under 180, 179.90, and Friday reached 179.42. So there's resistance here, but that close to all-time highs, we might very well get a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a fifth wave up. It gets us over 200. So I'm telling you, if there is a squeeze to the upside, stocks like Apple and Google and Amazon may lead the way. Let's take a look at Microsoft. Microsoft wasn't looking very good, but it did hold the trend line and bounced back above the moving averages. So the key on Microsoft now is, can we get back above 433.5? You do that, headed for 450 is my target. Anything underneath here would be a disaster. 404 support. NVDA, the monster in the midway, key to the market in my opinion. It's the key speculative stock in Wall Street, reaching a new all-time high 1255.87. Now on Monday, this coming Monday, this is going to open with a 10-for-1 reverse. A 10-for-1 split, which means it'll open about 120. So that's going to create some volatility. Now, the people that own this stock, if you had 1,000 shares and you now have 10,000, you're likely to sell a couple, 3. So it may create some pressure, and it may put pressure on the market. Or the opposite could result in a squeeze, could blow it through 1255 into the 1300 range or more. Who knows where they take this thing? But in any case, make sure that you know that key initial tight support is about 1175. Underneath that, you can drop all the way down 1100. Netflix, you can see not far from multi-year highs. 2 weeks ago, we reached 664. That was the highest since we reached the all-time highs at 700, 704. That was back a couple of years ago, back up here. See it? Back in 21, actually. We're headed there, maybe. Key support right now, right there. You don't want to go under 6.25, roughly. And over 663, I'm looking for a retest of the 695 to 704 range. Meta, also supporting the market in that. Recently, the declining top line broke. 50-day moving average is broken with a breakaway gap. And even a push through that line is very bullish. Now, the pullback, but by the way, the breakout didn't come in a big volume. That could have been a head fake. I don't think so, but we'll see. If the market's running, Meta will likely do so too. And Tesla, well, obviously, a V bottom, breakaway gap, running gap, pullback coil. It's still, if it breaks out, could be hugely bullish for a move to 200, 205 or more. Obviously, support on Tesla now is about 167.8, and you don't want it below that ideally, because then you get a retested lower or worse. Don't forget this had a 1, 2, 3, what looks like 4, 5 wave pullback with a 1, 2 on the upside. So we're looking for 3, 4, and 5, and maybe get this to 230.40 at some point. But we don't want the coil broken. You cannot anticipate this. You've got to wait for the breakout. So ideally, we make a move over 182.3 with volume, and we get her going. We'll see. So that's a look at the NASDAQ 100 components. Let's look at major ETFs we follow. The semiconductor index is still very, very, very strong. And at all-time highs on Thursday, when it reached 255.92. If it consolidates in here, your next target is 265.70. Financials, not so much. You can see that this pull down and then this wedge, if it breaks to the downside, could lead the market lower. Any breakout on the FAS over 105.75 could run it to 113 or more. This could be a breakout and a big a boost for the market if it even attempts to test at the triple top. But a breakdown on the FAS under 98, 98 and 3/4 through there would be a warning of impending more downside pressure. Now, we covered financials and semiconductors, both going two different ways. What's key for me is biotechs. They're not helping much. Although they have recently run back to resistance, we've got to get up through this zone, 95, 96.5, to get the market really going. What's bothering me is the potential of a left shoulder head and a right shoulder. I don't necessarily see that. It could be a V bottom with a platform as well. So a move over Thursday's high over 94.60 could get us back to 100 or better. So there's some work to do for the market. Let's look at some other of the major groups, ETFs, the major commodity groups we follow, like oil. You can see that oil is in a downward 1, 2, 3. And the snapback off the bottom of the channel is nothing more than a technical snapback. It came on low volume with lousy technicals. I'm not keen on oil, no matter what anybody says. Not yet. For me, it would have to get back over 78 with energy to really get going again. And it pays to wait. If we fail here and roll over, we could come down into mid to high 60s on the USO. UCO looks the same. What about gas? Well, oil is starting to move again. We did a great swing trade on the breakout here in the 15 range, headed up to 25 on the early for almost 10 points. And then it came down hard, did about 0.618 fib retracement, held moving average price support, and look at the rebound. So the target now has got to be a retest of 24.5 for starters for oil. Gold, which was looking great, did exactly what I thought it might, of a negative nature, meaning it rolled over, tested support, bounced to resistance, and rolled back down. A break at this level, we could be going down to 24. I'm not kidding. This could really get hammered. If that happens, oil will likely be spiking up into what I think could be a run back to 40. That's a double. Keep an eye on oil. Obviously, a stop at 26 would be important first. Get through that level. That's the zone that if it gets through, we could have a major run on gas. Gold and silver, well, the GLD is the one thing, but even then, double top and then this big bar coming down to support. Again, with everyone talking about gold, silver, Friday was as nasty a day as I've seen on a pickup in volume, no less, for gold and silver. And that's GLD. Look at GDX, big reversal engulfing bar. In your GT, same, and ANOG. These are very bearish trend breaks. Silver, AGQ with a nasty reversal down to the trend line. Any further damage, silver will be in trouble. SIL, SLB, both big nasty reversal days on Friday. Both the silver appears to be closer to the trend line versus the gold, which is broken. So we'll get to some gold and silver stocks as we go along, but I really don't want to cover that group today. We've done most of what I needed to. Let's move on to some stocks. And there's not as many as I normally have. I just felt I want to talk more about stocks that we're trading or interested in. Now, we'll start off with AEHR, which a lot of people in this room follow. It's been in a nasty downtrend since last August. And it peaked at 54, and it took it all the way down, believe it or not, to 10. Finally basing and reversing. It broke out. It spiked Wednesday, broke out Thursday, but Friday, after trying to follow through, it got up to that level of resistance and backed off. It needs to hold in here. Anything below 12.5 might be negative in my opinion, but a move over 13 3/4, 14 in that range could get it run to 16 and 18. AEYE continues to be phenomenal, and what a beautiful move, but I'm not sure if this is a mini head and shoulders or it's just a consolidation. It looks more like a consolidation, but we don't want the support around 19, 19.25 broken. That's a stop for me. Potential extension, if this keeps going, is 29.30 and above. AGBA with a beautiful explosive move and a pullback that 3 times held support is now back up to resistance. Breakout here leads to 6. That could be big. AGX, another pop, rising channel, and exploded on Friday from 71 to 78, finished just under 77, up 773. And although it is at resistance, any kind of momentum like that to new all-time highs should be carefully watched, but it is extended. In the gold sector, AU, one of our favorites, had a nasty engulfing reversal day two, and I'm concerned that it may be breaking down. Next support is 21.75, 22. Oil, we showed you. If that thing runs, we could really run on that one. The Dutch Brothers is at the top of the channel and lateral resistance. I'd be careful here. It's had a recent run from 27 to 40 nearly. And on the short side, BRZ had a big spike up, but check this out. It spiked up all right, but look at the reversal to the downside. I think it was a perfect opportunity to add to the shorts as it did not get through. That is now your trend channel. And look where it closed, down here, leading me to indicate that when I get to the shorts, I'll explain this more. This might be your new angle. Right there, see it? Still, I'm looking for a retest back down to 35, and then 30. Cant, very much in play, very much a leader in the semiconductor group. And look at this chart. It's gone from last April of 2481 to this June in 14 months to 110. Amazing move. Don't know how far they take it. Just wanted to show you how strong this has been. Careful up here, though. Your stop must be, in my opinion, under 98. Cava, restaurant group, broke out. Been a rising channel for months. It looks like it could extend, but you got to be careful. In any market that is vulnerable, the stock has to be stopped underneath 75. It's a long way from there. I would put initial stops closer to 79. Yep, right there. Actually closer to 80. Okay, so CCJ, the leader in uranium. What a wonderful 2-3 year trend for this one. 6 to 50 some odd. Can it still go? Of course. Key short-term support, I would say stop under 50. CDNA, inverse head and shoulder, breakaway gap, pullback from resistance. Technically, resistance is up here. Looking for 17.5 and 20 if it extends. Your stop is under 1290. CDXC exploded at three-wave corrected pullback. Look at the bounce on Friday, which basically broke it out, I believe, slightly, but it failed at the moving average and pulled back. Watch this one for follow-through if it gets above 3.5 with volume. Then your targets are 4 and 4.75. CGC, a 1, 2, 3, and this is a large wave 4. It's been drifting. Key double bottom support is in the 5, 6 and 3/4, 590 to 610 range. We're at 704 now, so it may continue to drift lower, and I would wait for any move over 8.5 with volume. Cgnt, beautiful long-term chart. Recently came down hard but bounced. Now it's moving back up again. Cognite target is 9.25.5. CLU, I want to highlight it because of the last 3 days were huge. It literally went from 102 to 347 in 3 days. So is it overextended? Maybe, but it is breakaway type move that could extend further, and your next target could be 5. CLFD with a beautiful base breakout wedge and breakout of the wedge. Now it pulled back, but my targets are 42 and 50. CLSK, a long consolidation underway. This is a crypto stock, and I would not commit to this either way until we see a break out or a breakdown. But it is overall in a 1, 2, 3, 4 with a long wave 4 coil. Core, a tech trader swing when it broke out, pulled back, and broke back out again. There's your long-term chart. Angle actually looks closer to this. Calling for a move into the 90 range eventually, but first target is 75. CONL, the ETF for Coinbase, after breaking the base and pulling back and testing it, it went 1, 2. 3 started, and the breakout that occurred Thursday, we'll just have to see if crypto is going to extend. If it does, this could be a $90 stock. For starters, 8.75 and then 90. Credo Technologies exploded 2 weeks ago, pulled back and tested the breakout point, and then kept going. Beautiful run. It's taken it to new all-time highs, even above the channel top, so this has momentum to carry it towards 30. CRNT in a falling wedge near the trend line. maybe an engulfing reversal day Friday. The volume was somewhat low, but keep an eye on this one for energy. If it gets it, it could run back to the 3, then 3.5 range. Criteo, breakaway gap, pop fall. This was a tech trader swing in the low 30s, and it made it to just under 40. Obviously, support around 36, target 43. Cvac has exploded off the low, which was recently down to 221, and more than doubled to 528. The pullback Friday is going to retest, I think, or consolidate. Bottom line, my target is 6 if it goes. Carvana looked like it was moving out of a 4 or 5 week flag type consolidation within the confines of a rising channel, similar to what it did in here. If it does pop, we're going to need a good market for that. 150-60 zone is my target. Stop 100% under 98. DD, that's DuPont, major breakout, test, pop, retest. Looking for 85 and 88. 3D Systems popped on Thursday. We put a swing on it. It backed off. May not be ready, but I think if it can hold it here, your next target is 5 3/4 and 7. Elon, long-term chart, excellent. Nice uptrend underway. Flagged and popped. It's at resistance. It gets through here. I'll be looking for 25 for a swing. NVX popped and is in a rising channel. My target's at 12 and 15. ESPR also in a consolidation, popped on Friday. I wanted to show it to you. I think the target's to be 3.5 and 4 1/4. ETHE, a crypto-related trust fund. You can see that recent falling channel popped out, and now it's consolidating. My target, high 40s. ETWL broke out of a coil, and it's been consolidating since and retesting. If it gets to 5 1/4, my targets are 6 and 7. Flextronics in a beautiful uptrend, broke out recently and pulled back to retest the prior high. That's support. If it does go, 35 is your target. First Solar is a tech trader swing. I recently put it on because this big run followed by a bull flag, if it breaks out, could lead to 320 and 350. General Motors, an impeccable rising channel, has moved sideways now for a couple of months, and it's just underneath the breakout point. If it gets to 46 and change, you might see low to mid 50s. GNFT breaking out of a beautiful base and spiking and wedging, had a big breakout day on Friday, but boy, did this reverse negatively. So watch this going forward to see if it can stabilize and then move back up to 6.5 and 7. Canada Goose popped, pulled back. We put a swing on it, then moved up from about 13 to almost 15, but backed off again. Hasn't given me the energy I want other than that one day, so be careful. HIMS with a big explosive spike pullback, and then another run. Now looks like a mid-20s to high 20s type stock. Hood also breaking out, got up to the target at 23 and 3/4, 24. 23.97 was tagged and it backed off. But extension target on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 might be as high as 26.5 and 29. Harrow breaks out of a base. It's a tick trader swing. It wedged, popped, pulled back. It's looking like it wants to break out further, but it gets over 19. 23 is my target. IDN with an explosive pop and falling wedge broke out after here and then ran up to resistance and backed off, only to retest. If it holds here, targets at 4 1/4, 5.5. IMMR, beautiful double top and breakout point, and a run up and a nice flag. This is really holding up well. 11, 12, and above are targets. 10.5 and 12, sorry. INOD breakaway gap, rising channel, still looking for more. 18 is your target. IPW exploded, literally went from 47 cents to 3.5, and then pulled down and wedged. Tried to break out early in the week. I put a swing on it. That didn't work so far. It pulled right back, and now it's got more of a wedge that looks like this. We're going to carefully watch this wedge to see if it explodes. If it does, $5 target. Jemiah back up against resistance from the February highs after retesting here, popping and wedging, holding the moving averages. It's run up every day for 2 weeks before Friday's pullback. So this has got to get up to 8. If it does, 9 3/4 and 11 are your targets. LFLY Thursday and Friday had a big day when it moved from 145 to a high of 422, tripling in 2 days. So you can see that the pullback was not a surprise. It's at support. If it extends, 4.5 and 6 might be targets. LSF with a pop, falling wedge, pop flag, and then a breakout is now wedging for 3 days, looking for 6. LSPD, base, breakout, and now flagging. This is the tech trader swing. I'm going to need it to get up to 15.65, then your targets 18 and 20. 3M, tech trader swing, inverse head and shoulder breakout, wedge, pop, and now another wedge, broke out again Friday, looking for 111 and 119.20. NRIX, in a beautiful rising channel, is poised to pop. You can see that it's just underneath the resistance zone from April when it tagged 18.5. It's going to have to get up across, at least for starters, 17, 17.10 there, and take that zone out before it gets into the mid-20s, my next target. Novavax really was a monster gap, beautiful run, and it exploded Thursday, only to pull back late Thursday and Friday and back to the trend channel. If it can hold it, high 20s is your target. NVDA we talked about. Impinge breakaway move last October was a tech trader swing in the 60s and ran up, tripled to 175, nearly tripled. But it pulled back nastily on Friday. It technically broke short-term support. It's still, however, above or right at, just a little bit above the trend line. This is key that it holds right in there. Stop under 138. Palantir. Well, it's starting to move back up again, but it's a little convoluted. The long-term chart indicates this could be an important low. I'm changing the angle to look more like this. There. So there's your channel. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think if it does go, if it goes, first thing it's got to do is get above 25. That's your next target. You get above that, I'm looking at 28 and 32. RNA is a tech trader swing we gave you right there, and it just kept running from 6 and change. It ran up into the tag 3084. So this was a 5-fold increase. And right now it's drifting sideways and may be vulnerable to a pullback, so careful. RXST, what a wonderful long-term chart. Currently in a coil at a high level, so it's more dangerous. But if it does break out, 70 target. SE, a beautiful rising pattern after breaking out here, and a 1, 2, 3 wave corrective, and then a run up, a retest, holding the trend line. It needs to get back above 73.4 zone to get going again. Then your target's going to be 80 and 88. Seed, the beautiful coil near the apex. I'm looking for a pop and run to $8. No kidding. Looks terrific. All it needs is volume. SGHT, V bottom, right hand extended, long coil, but it broke out and then pulled back a little Thursday, Friday. Target though, 8.5. Skechers, popped, pulled back. We put a swing. This stock has really been wonderful. And I think it's moving higher. I got 78 and 85 targets. SMR, breakaway, wedge, move back up, pull back. Overall though, nice rising trend. Stop under 640, over 11. I'm looking for mid-teens. Talk, drifting, disappointingly, after reaching the channel top and forming a 1-2. I saw that bear flag. This is a 3, 4, 5. Ideally, it's poised to pop for the next level up. And if it does, 3.5, 4, and 5 are targets. Teva Pharmaceuticals has been in a fantastic pattern for a year now, but for now, this bull flag, if it breaks, could lead to high teens. Tandem, also on a rising channel after breaking the down channel. My targets now is a retest of the highs near 53 and then go to 59.60. Verint exploded Wednesday, Thursday, stalled Friday, but my target's 40. WGS Tech Trader swing, popped and broke out, coiled, broke out again and pulled back. I'm looking for this stock to make it the mid-30s. Zeta, breakaway gap. We put a swing on it. It kept running until it reached a couple targets. Then it pulled down in a falling wedge and popped. I still like this overall for higher levels, looking for 1920. And that's it on longs. There's going to be some shorts to cover, and then we can finish up for today. On the box of shorts left says AKAM. Look at this chart. When it came down and formed the bear flag, that's where I gave it to you. I believe it was 111 or so. It's dropped down to 88. Met both of my targets. Looks like my next target is 80. Negative chart. AMN, very negative chart for the last year, almost 2 years now. Still looks lower to me. Additional downside targets, 49, 44. AMWD just rolled over. It's formed a falling wedge that I think looks bearish. I'm looking for a test of 77 and then all the way down to 70. BRZE exploded on Friday, and that's a short, but look where it failed. It pulled all the way back to 36 3/4 from a high of 42.65, lost 6 points. It's still negative to me, and it did it on big volume. I think we go lower, looking for 35 and 31. DoorDash broke down from the wedge. We put a bear swing on it. It went from 116 to a low of 106, not much, and then backed up again. But it's still in the confines of a down channel. I'm still looking for the stock to make lower lows. I think this is the pattern now. And we break down here, we're going towards 100, and then 85 to 88. D-Dog we just put out as a new swing short. It broke down and formed the bear flag. Targets 97, 83. Disney's in the down channel, head and shoulder top, breakaway gap. To me, I'm not sure it's going to be a big winner percentage-wise, but it looks like it's going to drop towards 96 and maybe as low as 89. DraftKings head and shoulder top completed and a snap back to the neckline. Dangerous. If it fails, 32 and 27 targets. Fox Factory in a long downtrend, forming a wedge, may have broken Friday, looking for a retest of 38 and maybe 30. GTLB broke down GitLab, looks like it's not going lower. The test is at 40 and then 36. INFA, breakdown bear flag, breakdown another flag and another flag. It just looks miserable, and I'm looking for a test of 25. INMD bear flag after a long downtrend. Looks to me like it could roll over, retest at least 16 and maybe get down low teens. JBL, massive top, breakdown, rising wedge, breakdown bear flag in here. It's on support. The next move down gets me to 100. MDB broke down hard, real hard after forming this bear wedge we showed you. And although it may bounce around for a while, it could go lower with a target of 200. And S worked out well. This came down and formed a little flag. We put a swing on it short at 23 and made it down to 14. And that should have been covered there, of course. But the bounce is very, after the intraday bounce, hasn't done much since then. Shopify broke down from the head and shoulder top as now it's trying to rally back. Technicals look a little stronger than I'd like, so be careful with that one. And finally, Yelp broke down from its bear flag and is back to support. Any break here, and we're looking for low 30s. And that's it for the weekend webinar, folks. Have a great one. Please review this so you're prepared for next week, and I'll talk to you on Monday. Bye-bye.